So for number 9, it asks us to write an equation for the line that passes through these 2 points. And it says line, so that would be a straight line, a linear function. So this is not exponential, this is just our regular old y equals mx plus b kind of function. So the way you're probably used to doing these is that we first find the slope by doing change in y over change in x, and then that's our m is our slope, and then we plug in a point and find b, and you can still do that. But I'm going to show you a different way that's more similar to how we've been doing exponential functions. It's a way you can find the equation using a table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a table using these 2 points I have. So I'm going to look at their x coordinates to help me decide how to make my x column in my table. And so I'm going to start with -5 as my first x value, and then I'm going to go up by 1s from there. And I need to make sure I include 0 because that's going to give me my starting y value. And then I also need to go up to 3 because 3 is the x value of this one. So I'm going to go from -5 all the way up to 3 in my table. And then I'm going to fill in the y values from my points. So for -5, the y value is 4. And for +3, the y value is -2. So those are the 2 y values that we know. So then I'm going to look at how much that changes. So going from a y value of 4 down to a y value of -2. And since this is linear, this is not a multiplication pattern. A linear function is either an adding or a subtracting pattern. And since this value goes down, I know it's a subtraction pattern, so I just want to figure out how much is it subtracting every time that it goes down 1 step. So if you go from +4 all the way down to -2, you're going down by 6 units. So we'll say it's a change of -6. Okay, so that's our change in y, -6. Like if you think about on a number line, if this is 0, if you start at +4 and then end up down at -2, the amount that you moved was 6 units in the negative direction, getting smaller. So it went down by a total of -6. Then we want to think about, okay, so what is it actually subtracting each little step through the function? So we want to count how many steps this is. Or we can just kind of look over here and think about it. So we're going from an x value of -5 up to +3. So if you think about how many units that would be on a number line from -5 up to +3, that would be 8. And if you're not sure, you can always just count. So starting at -5, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units to get to the +3. So it went down by 6, but it took 8 steps to do that. So we're going to divide by 8 to see how much each step actually is. So -6 divided by 8 is -0.75. We could also leave it as a fraction and just reduce it and say it's -3/4. That would be fine also. Okay, so that's our slope. That's how much this is going down by each time. Now, that's helpful in our equation. That's going to be our m. But we also need to know b, which is our starting value for a linear function. Starting value is the value of y when x is 0. So we need to know what is this starting value right here. What is this y value? So now that we know that all this function does is it just subtracts 0.75 every time, we could work our way down from the 4. We could also go backwards adding 0.75 and work our way from here. Okay? I think I'm going to work my way down from the 4. So if I have 4 here and then I add 0.75, or sorry, subtract 0.75, that gives me 3.25. And then if I subtract 0.75 from that, that gives me 2.5. And then if I subtract 0.75 from that, that's 1.75. Subtract 0.75 from that, that's 1. Subtract 0.75 one more time, and that is 0.25. So my equation, I can now write what my answer will be. It is y equals, this was my slope, what it was subtracting each time, -0.75 x, and then b is my starting value, and that was the 0.25, so plus 0.25. So that is my equation.